Dear viewers, you welcome to this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinox Television, live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. I am Bable Jonathan. In our top stories in this edition of the news, some students of the University of Buea in the crisis-hit southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon called on government to solve the socio-political and security tensions in the two Anglophone regions of the country before it escalates, so the tensions escalate to a genocide. They were speaking to a correspondent in the southwest region, Derek Ajato, and the African Commission on Human and People's Rights now poised to push through a complaint filed by lawyers and of course lawyers of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement CRM political party of incarcerated national president Professor Maurice Kamto, and the party continues demanding for its stolen victory in the 2018 presidential election. Some students of the University of Buea have urged the Cameroon government to put an end to the crisis hitting the two Anglophone regions of the country, the northwest and the southwest regions, before it escalates to a genocide. They were speaking today during a peace campaign on the campus of that higher institution of learning. A correspondent in the southwest region, Derek Jato, files in details.
The Anglophone regions are still in tears and in blood, and Cameroon is losing her active age group, the youth, being it on the side of the military or the separatist fighters, because of the violence on the ground.
To be honest, the rights of youth have been trampled upon. There is evidence to that effect.
And the Movement for Democracy, Development and Transparency, MDDT, on her part, has been moving in these restive zones to preach the gospel of non-violence and lobby for dialogue.
And I think that if we have everybody on board and tolerating each other to come to the dialogue table.
Today, Barrister Clifford Niba Akunte, the national coordinator, is taking his team to the campus of the University of Buea.
It is an arena for us to partner with universities and university groups, for us to amplify their voices, to see what the youth think about the ongoing crisis.
And these University of Buea students told the MDDT that for 3 years, Cameroon has been playing a hide-and-seek game with souls.
Boom, we wake up to a gunshot, and then another, and another. We all go down, pound the dust. We can't see anything but raw glass, curtains, holes in our chest. We train ourselves to flee, yet many of us die before we realize. It's been 3 years we've been playing hide and seek with our souls.
University students, often referred to as a set of people at their academic prime, this University of Buea student, in a poetic narrative, predicted the picture of Cameroon 5 years from now.
Do we know the actions, the effect of what we do now 5 years from now? 5 years from now, I still angry. I still do too much fighting for vengeance for the blood of the innocent that has been shed. The blood that drips on the earth surface. I see them revenging and avenging for them 5 years from now.
These UB students have made their stand known.
If we get together and talk, we can preserve the life of this baby.
We are involved to dialogue. In this generation, youth choose to stand for dialogue.
They stand for dialogue and let the dialogue lead, with no personal interest and in all sincerity.
Conveners of the Anglophone General Conference have dismissed information and reports indicating that the gathering is to hold on from the 11th to the 12th of July 2019 in the Northwest Regional Capital, Bamenda. And of course, the organizing committee of the Anglophone General Conference has distanced itself from a document that is circulating on social media indicating that the Anglophone General Conference is expected to hold in the month of July in the Cathedral Hall of Mancon. And of course, the spokesperson of the AGC organizing committee, Eli Smith, has dismissed this information as fake news. Take a listen to Eli Smith.
State here categorically is that the conveners of the Anglophone General Conference will be meeting in Bamenda at a date which has not yet been fixed. Initially, we wanted it to be on the 5th, but given that it will be the holy month of Ramadan, and after which there are some Christian festivities that are going to take place, we have not yet decided. It's after those or that special meeting of conveners, which is not open to the public, then a new date will be set for the Anglophone General Conference. And you will discover one inaccuracy, which is not minor but major, is that one of the conveners' name has been misplaced. He is not Professor T. Pius as claimed, but the president or the executive president of the Cameroon Baptist Convention is Dr. Godwill Chiato. So that communique should be ignored until we come out with something authentic, given the date of the conveners meeting in Bamenda, after which the date of the conference and the place where the conference is going to take place.
And the young crisis took central stage in some congregations across the Republic of Cameroon today as Christians converged to commemorate the ascension into heaven, body and soul of their Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And the conversion, different congregations, and prayed for peace in the Republic of Cameroon, a country threatened by socio-political and security crises from the north to the south, west to east. And in his message in the that is during the celebration of Ascension Day at the Our Lady of Victory Cathedral in the nation's political capital Yaoundé, the Archbishop of the Yaoundé Metropolitan Archdiocese, His Lordship Jean Barga, said the greed of public authorities and the fact that they ignore God is the cause of the crisis hitting different parts of Cameroon, especially the northwest and the southwest regions. He told our correspondents in Yaoundé, Ike Cyril and Elise Bogba, that man cannot live without God. Take a listen to the Archbishop of the Douala or the Yaoundé Metropolitan Archdiocese, Jean Barga.
On the occasion of this ascension, I say that it is for us the time to read again the heritage we received to Jesus, and this heritage is the Christianism. So I plead for that we must give now new places of the church and the spiritual life in this public space, in this public square. That means that the phenomena of secularization around is not our option. We say that we cannot live without God, and Jesus came for that. So now all the people, all the faithful, all the goodwill people must accept that it's normal to live with my faith in the public space. When I'm going walking, where I'm living in family in the quarters, we must show our testimony as a Christian that God's alive, Christ is alive, and also we must prepare ourselves to leave this world and to join Christ in the heaven.
Now, Grace, what is the significance of this day in a Christian life?
The day is that God sent us His Son, and the Son come here and bring us the message from God. And at the end of this mission, He has not to go back to His Father. But the meaning is that not only we have been created for this world, we are now also created for the new world. We cannot see it now, but Christ is the certitude that this world is existing, and we have to pray for that, to be elected by God to live with Him in the eternity.
In the Anglophone regions of the Republic of Cameroon, many Christians could not celebrate Ascension Day today because of the precarious and difficult socio-political and security climate in those two regions, but elsewhere in the country, including here in the country's economic capital, Douala, Christians converge in different congregations, as well as the St. Peter and Paul Cathedral here in Douala, to commemorate the ascension of the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ to heaven, body and soul. Immaculate Fogwe has more.
Hundreds of Catholic Christians converged this Thursday, 30th of May 2019 at the St. Peter and Paul's Cathedral, Douala, to celebrate the Feast of Ascension. Ascension Day is traditionally celebrated 40 days after Easter Sunday, which marks the end of the Easter season in the church's calendar. Father Abe Clement throws more light on the feast.
La fête de l'Ascension,
the Feast of Ascension is celebrated 40 days after Easter. Our Savior Jesus Christ rose up to heaven, body and soul, and is seated beside the Father. It is an important feast that boosts up the faith of Christians. He equally calls on Christians to give up their ungodly attitudes and ascend with Christ spiritually. God created us in His own image and likeness, and through the Feast of Ascension, the Lord wants us to throw away all of our bad habits and focus our minds to heaven. If we put importance on the things of the earth, then we will perish. But if we look up to God, then we will be rewarded with eternity. He calls on Christians to use the opportunity to carry out a self-evaluation process of their lives. I am inviting Christians to understand that going to heaven begins here on earth. It is very important that all of us work hard to make it to heaven, and the only way of doing so is by showing love for one another. Christians now await the coming down of the Holy Spirit on Pentecost Day, that is 10 days from now.
And I told you in the headlines that the African Commission on Human and People's Rights is now poised to handle a complaint filed by lawyers of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement led by incarcerated national president Professor Maurice Kamto. And this is a complaint filed against the government of the Republic of Cameroon over electoral hold-up and, of course, the stealing of their victory at the October 7, 2018 presidential election in Cameroon, and of course other issues. And after examining the complaint during its 64th ordinary session in Egypt, the commission said that it observed a prime facie, better still, a visible, clear or obvious violation of the African Charter. And it should be noted that Cameroon signed the Charter on July 23, 1987 and ratified it on June 20, 1989, and the matter will be referred to the Commission's court, while the plaintiff have 2 months to prove or provide proofs and arguments when the Banjul court takes over the matter. We'll be coming back to this in greater details. Now we're going to talk about an accident which occurred at Baruku, a locality in Melong subdivision of the Mongo division in the Littoral region of the country, and the accident left 1 person dead. Smanjikan Gabriel has more.
The cry of an inconsolable mother who has lost the only bread giver of the family. Ricardo, 20-year-old, a professional bike rider, was knocked down by a private car that was on a breakneck speed. Reports say that Ricardo was on his bike heading to Government High School Buruku in Melong subdivision when he was brutally hit by a car. His colleagues of the same profession rushed him to the hospital, but unfortunately he gave up the ghost before arriving the hospital. Why should the government allow that people in Melong should cover 4 to 5 kilometers to write exams? That is what has kept us in this bad state. The lifeless body of Ricardo is now resting at the mortuary in Melong District Hospital.
Coming up, Innocent has a report that indiscriminate waste disposal is a major threat to human life and the environment in Cameroon.
This polluted stream in Dogbong, a neighborhood in the Douala 5 subdivision, serves as a very good example of a conducive breeding ground for mosquitoes and other skin infectious insects. On a daily basis, this stream, surrounded by hundreds of houses, is polluted with waste plastic bottles and several non-biodegradable plastic materials. Whether or not these waste materials are dumped in the stream by households for transportation, the danger does not haunt just perpetrators. Even the innocents are inclusive.
We are suffering because of mosquito. There are too much mosquito, especially this rainy season. Even children cannot even play outside.
An unhealthy environment. Some residents express consciousness is income draining machine.
My first son, every month I'm going to the hospital. My child have even taken the drugs until the teeth has gotten bad.
To avoid skin diseases, some persons are compelled to iron their clothes to kill bugs before wearing.
You dry your dresses, there are too much insects that come and land on the dresses. If you don't iron it before, you cannot wear it.
An environmentalist has intervened, describing the situation as laxity on the part of government.
Évidemment, il faut dire que d'après
Didier Yimkwa says research conducted by experts from the Ministry of the Environment reveals that out of about 6 million tons of domestic waste produced in Cameroon, 10% constitutes plastic waste. That is about 600,000 tons of domestic plastic waste produced, serving as serious threats to health of people.
Pose un réel problème.
The phenomenon, he notes, also has devastating impacts on the environment.
Ce plan d'eau qui est malheureusement colonisé.
Flood is very common, even during slight rainfall, as a result of the irrelevant and unextracted imports.
Beaucoup de moustiques.
Brings about a mosquito-infested environment. Incineration of the plastic materials by the poor population in strive to remedy the situation kills soil nutrients, thereby affecting productivity.
Réduisent la productivité agricole.
To Didier Yimkwa, solutions exist, but laws to back them are weak.
Les fabricants, que je considère comme des délinquants écologiques, ne respectent pas les textes.
Producers, he says, should be identified and compelled by law to collect the empty plastic bottles to free the environment.
La gestion de l'environnement à l'article 43.
To help the dead laws governing this practice, the environmentalist proposes.
Donc, je pense que la meilleure solution, c'est de mutualiser les efforts.
Mutualize efforts of entrepreneurs with assistance from the Ministry of the Environment to eradicate the non-biodegradable trash, or that local councils be empowered to get rid of the plastic bottles from streams.
Territoires décentrés sont les administrations qui sont plus proches des populations.
This is not the lone case in Douala. Most localities have streams polluted as such, even with industrial waste with toxic smell, adversely affecting the population.
And that's it for the first part of this newscast. Talking Point is up next. We are receiving a politician, member of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, CRM political party, AKUMANGA. Jespale, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Your case filed at the case of your party, the CRM political party, filed at the African Commission on the Human and People's Rights against the state of Cameroon seems to be prospering.
Yeah, normally it is ongoing, and I think by the end of it, I'm going to have something reasonable. And actually, if you look, we have just one party in the country that is being favored. I'm talking of the CPDM. And in reality, I think it is great time for all Cameroonians to go in for their right.
The African Commission on Human and People's Rights says after examining the petition filed by lawyers of the national president of your party and the party against the state of Cameroon, it observed an obvious violation of the African Charter signed and ratified by Cameroon. What's your take on this aspect?
When we talk of observing, on which part? On that of the party or that of the government?
According to the complaints that have been filed by your party, violation by government.
Okay, thank you. And in reality, it has been there, but I think it is right time. And we will go more than that, because in reality, keeping our national president in there, I don't see the reason. And my brother, it is right time we go on street and tell the people the truth about what Cameroon is all about.
You don't see the reason why the national president of your party is kept behind bars, but the government has reasons. There are charges leveled against him.
I don't think the government itself had any reason, because up to date, they can't sentence him, and neither would they accept to allow him go. The real truth here is this man have been in the ruling party and have occupied a particular key position in this country. So at this given moment, his collaborators and other ministers like he do want him in because they know what he is capable of it. But in reality, this man have committed no offense, because according by me, if you look well, it was a peaceful march. They never destroyed anything. We went out and our points were very, very clear. I think you and I, we have discovered there were PVs that were not signed, of which they were valid. And at the end of the day, we don't understand the role of the commission put in place, and we don't know where ELECAM is taking us to. They are actually taking side. So it is right time we stand together as one, because today my party and tomorrow might be another party. So for me, I think we'll sit for once and for all and put a stop on this. So for me, in reality, the national president is in there with no offense.
No, you are connecting his arrest and detention to issues concerning positions that he held in the past, notably his position as Minister Delegate at the Ministry of Justice. And he, however, told me in an interview that he has never been a member of the CPDM and so on. But he says, but when you connect it like this, are you saying that his arrest and detention have no legal backing? They're just politically motivated?
It is just politically motivated, reason being, in reality, you know, within the election, the presidential election, that was the main opposition leader of this country. And again, that was the elected president. We will always say it and say it over and over. And then following the papers that with proofs that were put on the table in front of everybody with all the proofs, at the end of the day, what was the conclusion? We discovered a lot of injustice, and by so doing, the party now decided to go and ask for that there should be justice in Cameroon.
That the results should be recounted.
Yeah, that the results should be recounted. It was not like we said, no, the man in place did not win. Given in fact that they discovered some papers that were not signed, and all was not okay, meaning those areas, we have seen it in these countries whereby there are areas that they redo the election, right? Why couldn't we go in and in reality look if what they have in hand with all the papers, with the proofs, what was at least a proof for us to recount or go back in and look. But then, since the winner was the Almighty, they think that's all. So I think in reality, my president's being in there is for no good reason, but sooner or later he will be out.
Now, the several months have elapsed, and you're still asking for what you qualify as your stolen victory at the October 7, 2018 presidential election. And now the African Commission on Human and People's Rights has considered your complaint and is taking it to the court of the commission. Do you think that in the present context, in the present political system in Cameroon, something, what could come out of it?
Yeah, normally in reality, Cameroon being what it is, and we know who are the people who are leading, it is very difficult for one who is being locked in order to gain favor in front of the people, because then the majority, they are out. But he have been locked in and he is struggling to fight for his right. Okay, but now the lawyers are talking on his behalf, knowing very well who he is in terms of lawyer internationally and whatever. He had other colleagues who have come in. Bear with me that that same international body we're talking of authorized the Cameroon government to release President Maurice Kamto as fast before 20th May. Then at the end of the day, what was the result? So I think in reality...
And just recently, the French Foreign Minister Yves Le Drian called for his release, said he should be released.
At all levels, they are asking, because normally, if you look very well, it is political motive. Because now, it is impossible for you, the leader of the president of the country, to take the main opposition and lock in. You get it? So I think in reality, he's supposed to be released by all means and as fast as possible. For me, I see no reason why he's in. And bear with me, in reality, my brother, President Maurice Kamto, as soon as possible, would join the party. And I believe that is the upcoming president of Cameroon, and he had all the qualities needed.
AKUMANGA Jespale, member of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, CRA and political party, thanks for coming. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us.